Hi, welcome back to Human Resource Management, and we are already on the second chapter. So, second chapter, we will be talking about strategic human resource planning. Right. Ang strategic human resource planning is a process nga where it systematically review human resource requirements to ensure that the number of employees matches the required nga skills. So, by definition, human resource planning is an important component of human resource management and is the process of matching the internal and external supplies of people with job openings anticipated in the organization over a period of time. So we will define later unsa tong external and internal supplies. Right? So when we say human resource planning, of course, we will also talk about strategic planning. So what is strategic planning? Ang strategic planning is the determination of the overall organizational purpose and goals and how they are to be achieved. Right? So, after sa mga strategic plans, pag na mag-formulate kag mga plans, human resource strategic planning is to be undertaken. So, right after it is formulated. Along these lines, strategies are reduced to specific quantitative and qualitative human resource plans. So, from the big goals, imo na siyang himay-himayon into specific quantitative and qualitative plan. And there are two important components of human resource planning. And what are those? Number one is the requirement. Requirement, this is where you are going to forecast the human resource or human requirement, and it involves determining the number and types of employees that you need. Okay, so uh, pag may tag requirement unsa may kinahanglan sa isa ka company, pila ka buok ang kinahanglan. Then imo pong take into consideration the level of skills to be determined and matched with the plan operation. So you have your plan and you are going to determine unsay mga skills and what is the level of skills needed. Then the human resource department also must look into both external and internal process. As I've mentioned, we will discuss the internal, you mentioned kanina internal and external process. So when we say internal, pag may yung tag internal source, mingon refers ni siya to the existing manpower that could be reassigned to new positions or to be promoted to higher vacant positions. So meaning, mutanaw sa ka sa naa sa imuha, unsay available. Kinsay pwedeng mga ma-promote, unsay ilang mga skills asa sila nga posisyon, right? Pwede. Pag mingantang external source, it refers to positions that are not available inside the organization and we need to get it from outside. Mag-source mo nang mag-posting ta, di ba? So, pag mingon ganig internal hiring lang ta, internal hiring meaning kung kinsa lang tong naa diha, oh, ikaw pwede na ka, you can be promoted, no? You are eligible so you will be promoted. That's internal hiring. Pag external gani, external hiring or external sourcing mo na mag-post na ka because that position is not available or no one is eligible for that position within the company. So that's number one, the first component, the requirement. The second component is the availability. Okay. Um, when employee requirements have been analyzed, so na-analyze na nimo, the firm or the company determines whether there is a surplus o naabay daghan bata ani or kulang bata or there is a shortage of manpower. So if naay surplus, if naa siya'y surplus, ways must be instituted to reduce the number of employees. So, naaman tay surplus, aka nang daghan man taan ni employee, ang say buhaton, pwedeng restricted hiring. So, mag-restrict ta sa atong hiring. Ikaduha, pwede po tang mag-reduce sa work hours. So, nakadungog na siguro mo anang mga kanang 4 days work week, di ba? So instead of 5 days, mahimo na lang 4 weeks. Early retirement of old employees. So mag-scan na ka. Kinsay mga pwedeng mag-retire. Kanang mga duol na kintay, 2 years na lang. Pwede na nimo offeran nga, pag-retire na kay kuan may retirement package na kay makadawat gyapon kag full retirement even if early basta gi-offer ana mag-offer ka. Second or the last part actually is the layoff, no. Mo ni pinaka worst sa tanan nga pwede nimong buhaton when there is a short surplus of employees because you need to lay off, magtanggal jud kag employees kay di man pwede nga daghan kay kag employees compared sa sana trabaho nga kinahanglan buhaton, di ba? So you have to lay off. The second is if there is a shortage. Unsa man pod if na ay shortage. So the human resource department must obtain the proper quantity and quality of workers outside the organization after nimo makita na sa loob that there is none yun. So, mangita na ka. That is when you are going to hire somebody else kay naa man kay shortage, kulang man imong tao. Right? So, those are the two components. Number one is the requirement. Two is the availability. And in the requirement, you have to look at external and internal sources. For availability, you have to look at if there's a surplus or there is a shortage in your employees. Now, let's talk about the aspects of human resource planning. Right. So, there are four aspects of human resource planning, and that number one is the systematic forecasting of manpower needs. So, on the basis of business conditions and forecast, manpower needs are planned and monitored closely. So dili lang na siya basta naman tay mga tao. You have to always monitor kay posible man nga nay mga nang-resign o nay mag-retire. So dapat imo na nang na-forecast ang imong manpower needs. Next month, okay pa ba ang number of employees nako? If for example naanay nag-tender og resignation karon, so imo na nang i-count nga next month wala na ni siya, so okay pa ba ang number of employees? So um, you have to always forecast and monitor your employees. Second aspect is the um, performance management. So in performance management, you have to analyze, you have to improve, you have to monitor the performance of each employee and of the organization as a whole. So tan-awon nimo uh, kay di ba sa hiring you can hire within man katong mga pwedeng ma-promote. So mao na diha siya nagikan tan-aw nimo kinsa may pwede nako i-send sa training ba na ako'y pwedeng i-develop, no, to move up, right? So or next month mag-open mig isa ka branch kinahanglan na mo mga tao kinsay pwede nako ibutang dito. So you have to always look at the performance, and then you also have to evaluate them. Is this employee still worth it, or are we still going to keep this kind of employee? Unsa ba siya, dili ba siya tapulan, dili ba siya pala absent, dili ba siya pala late, right? Because employers actually would like to have someone that is always there, no, kay the attitude of pirming absent, pirming late, lisod kaay na siya tambalan. Layo, I mean, lisod kayo siya iwala because that's already the habit. But if you have a good attitude, ang employee, mo ng mga employers, ilang gina-evaluate permi ang employees. No, performance nimo tan-awon. The third part or the third aspect is the career management. In here, you are going to determine, you plan, you monitor the career aspirations of each individual in the organization and developing them for improved productivity. So, I have tried based on sa like for example in the BPO industries. Sa BPO industries, although daghan kay sila, but they are very efficient in monitoring the career aspirations and the performance of their employees. How? They group the employees into teams, and each team there is a team leader, and then the team leader will have a one-on-one talk. It is really scheduled to have a one-on-one talk with the employee. so that he or she can monitor the performance unsa may mga like strengths and weaknesses ani nga employee and unsa iyang mga aspirations, so that the team leader can also support if the employee, let's say for example, expresses that, oh, gusto na ako mahimo kong team leader, mahimo kong supervisor. So the supervisor, as a supervisor, actually kuan na sa imo, the HR will be should be open to that, no? So gusto nimo may supervisor, so based on your performance, okay man ka, dili makapakala absent. So therefore, I am going to give you the chance. So, appeal na sa imong training. Gusto niya ma-supervisor, so dapat mag-conduct og training for supervisors. Ana siya. So, mo na siya ipapil. The fourth aspect, the fourth and the last one is the management development. So, management development, this is where you are going to assess and determine the development needs of managers for future succession requirements, 'di ba? Kay mag-move up man gyud ta na, man gyud mga wala na, man gyud mag-resign, na ay mamatay, na ay mag-retire. So mabawasan man gyud ang tao, and then mag-move up gyud dapat ang ladder sa from the bottom. That's to show the development, okay? So i-assess na nimo, i-determine nimo ang development needs sa imong mga managers, imong supervisors for future succession, because they will be the backbone of the company, right? So those are the aspects of human resource planning. Now, what are the advantages if we are going to use the HR planning that we've discussed, no? The elements and the aspects of human HR planning. What are the benefits or advantages? So we have five advantages in the human or HR planning. One is through a systematic planning of human resources, a company can be better assisted in attaining its goals and objectives. So if nakaplano siya tanan, if there's a systematic planning, therefore the company is in a better place, no, to attain sa iyang goals and objectives. Okay, dili man siya kalat. It's planned already. The second advantage is it helps the company determine its manpower needs and provides a method of meeting them. Okay? So makita niya unsa ang iyang needs, and then unsa iyang pwedeng buhaton to meet the needs. Okay? So, kinahanglan din ako 100 people. So, unsa akong buhaton para makakuha ko 100 people na ini kataas ang level or with high level of skills, di ba? So, another or third advantage is it can be effective means of planning the development and growth of the employees. So, because you have already the list, nag-evaluate na ka, nag-list na ka sa imong mga skills and employees, this will be an effective means or way of planning the development. So makaingon na, oh, these people needs to have a managerial training. These people will have a supervisorial training, etc., etc. Okay. The fourth advantage is that it can assist in placing the employees properly in jobs where they can maximize the use of their skills and potentials, di ba? So namang ko'y uban nga employees nga unsa may mong skill, wala siya kay balog unsa iyang skill, no? Pero pag ipatrabaho na nimo ay maayo dai siya sa bookkeeping, no, very diligent siya nga mag keep og records, maayo siya. So therefore, since nakita na nimo sa imong HR planning, you will be able to put the person to the right job, no? Dili pwede nga mag-hire ka og someone nga layo ra kaayo. Okay? Mag-hire ka og manager pero ang iyang skill gyud is cashier, di ba? So lisod kaay na siya i-match. Then the fifth advantage is, oh, that was actually the last advantage. Sorry, so there are four. Okay, and also we will be discussing the 5 steps to human resource planning. So unsaon man siya? There are 5 steps. Number one, determining workload inputs based on the corporate goals and objectives. So based sa imong goals and objectives, imong determine unsa man ang mga workload nga kinahanglan nato. So once the company's objectives are known, the operating executives can determine what they are responsible for in the common endeavor of attaining the corporate goals. No? Um, so na-determine na nimo, there are several factors that should be considered in determining work inputs. Number one, business development and assumption. So unsa may imong plan, di ba? Business development plan nimo and your assumption 5 years from now, 10 years from now, corporate planning, economic forecast. So economic forecast pag let's say for example, before COVID, 'di ba, wa may nagdahom. But you should always have that in mind that things can happen in the future. So you should have economic forecast. Kaya ba if ever na ay downturn nga mahitabo, kaya ba i-sustain ang company? Changes in plans and products. So if there are changes in plans, there are changes in products. So depende na kung asa ninyo, depending on your economic forecast and corporate planning, unsa imo mga changes. The new product line. So if you are going to open new product lines, you have to determine what are the work inputs na kinahanglan nato. So, if we will open another branch, kunwari to produce hollow blocks, so you have to know what are the inputs that you need. Mergers and consolidation. So, mergers meaning kana bitang nipalit kag company. So, for example, you are a seller of what do you call laptops or electronics, no, mopalit ka og shipping company. So mergers and consolidations, you have to know what you are going to need if ever that this is going to happen. Okay. All right, so number two, studying the jobs in the company and writing the job description and job specification. So it's very important yun nga specific ka sa unsa may description. So this job title, unsa man iyang functions, unsa iyang descriptions. Right? Number three is inventory, forecasting of manpower needs. So mo na ni, you are going to determine the number of people and the skills of people nga required sa work, di ba? So pag mag-forecast kag manpower needs, ang next ana is you are going to determine the work input. So after you are able to forecast the needs, ang work input na dayon and is known as the planned and logical method of determining both quantitatively and qualitatively the employees needed to man the work inputs to enable the company to attain its goals. So naka-forecast na ka. Once you have forecasted, imo na dayong mahibaw-an sa ang mga work inputs na imong kinahanglan. Then the fourth step is the inventory of manpower. So this fourth step gyud is the planning process in the inventory. Parang i-audit nimo ang imong available ang current manpower. So, mahitabo ani nga step is that you will there will be assessment of the skills niya. Tanaw nimo ang career aspirations nila, ilang strengths and weaknesses sa imong employees, ilang potential nga ma-promote. Oh. Then, i-match nimo na sa imong positions nga imong gi-forecast. Right? So pag when the current manpower is matched, so you are going to forecast the needs, the positions and field either kung i-fill up na to nimo. Okay? So unsa may resulta ani if you are doing inventory of manpower. One is makita nimo if there is enough manpower. Makita na ka, naaday ko enough, so dili na day kinahanglan. Or makita nimo there's an excess in the number of available manpower but lacking the skills required. So daghan ko employee pero gamay dili kulang ang ilang skills. So diha makapagplano na ka, okay, kinahanglan na lang nako, di na ako mag-hire og bag-o, kinahanglan na lang nako nilang i-train. Number three, makita po nimo nga the number of available manpower is insufficient, so kulang, and the skills are also inadequate to meet the needs of the work input. So pag makita nimo, then you can move forward. Sa imong pwedeng buhaton, it's either mag-hire ka og mga nag-match sa skills nga imong kinahanglan, or you are going to improve their skills, di ba? So, that's the fourth step. The fifth step is the improvement plans. So, sa improvement plan, it is where determination of the appropriate steps to implement the HRP, or human resource planning, in order to ensure that the company has the right number and right quality of people properly assigned to jobs which they are most useful. So dapat importante gini siya. O humanata sa pagdetermine sa work input, humanata sa pag-write sa description, nag-forecast na ta, nag-inventory na ta, then we are now going to implement our human resource planning. And we have to make sure nga ang ato ibutang nga tao didto is appropriate, no? Ang iyang skill is appropriate for the job, right? So, those are the five steps. Now, there are techniques also being used in human resource management, and there are several techniques. There are six in our reference. So these are the common. No, actually, the high technique, but these are the six common techniques. Number one is skills inventory. Right? So this approach involves the listing of all the skills possessed by the workforce, and they are made to relate to the requirements of the organization. So mag-skills inventory ka, mag-list ka sa mga skills nga available sa imong mga tao, and then you are going to relate it to the requirements nimo. Unsa imong kinahanglan to produce the particular product nga imong gina-produce. This technique requires detailed information of the experience and training of every individual in the organization. So dapat detalyado siya sa experience o sa training nga naa nila, so that you will be able to put them in the right places. Second technique is the ratio analysis. This is the technique wherein the personnel who are promotable to the higher positions are identified together with their backup or understudy. So mag-identify na kag kinsay mga pwedeng promotable, kanang pwede nimong i-promote. Okay? There should be a ratio that will ensure that kanang promotion will not create any void. 'Di ba? Pag nag-promote ka na bakante to. So dapat imong i-ensure mo ganin nang imong i-identify ang mga promotable and their backup. Because once you promote them, kanang iyang position nga mabakante, you have to fill that up. Dili na siya pwede nga mahimong void. To do that, recruitment must support the backup requirements, no? So ang pag-recruit nimo, you have to know what are the backup requirements imo to imong fill upan. At the same time, training must be done to develop the backup ratio, right? So importante. The third approach is the cascade approach. In the cascade approach, the setting of objectives flows from the top to bottom in the organization, so that everyone gets a chance, no? So ang objectives niya dapat, no, nakahibalo ang tanan sa unsay objectives. Kani nga approach will result in the formulation of a plan wherein the objectives of the rank and file, katong mga rank and file, katong mga employees, katong walay higher position, get included in the planning. So dapat ma-include sila, so that they will also know, oh, kinahanglan pala og kinahanglan pala og manager, and tingin nako kaya nako na, I just need more training and more experience. So magkugi siya nga i-improve ang iyang kaugalingon, because hibalo siya unsay dagan, no? And they are part of the planning. The next approach is the replacement approach. So this is done to have a body of manpower in the organization that is ready to take over existing jobs on a one-to-one basis within the organization. Okay? So, pag gamito nimo ni nga approach, you have to year-round or sa tibuok tuig dapat nag-accept kag mga applications for possible replacement, no? So wala, non-stop ang imong hiring, non-stop siya, so that kay especially sa kanang bitang mga company nga nasa economic zones, 'di ba 6 months naman na sila. So, meaning year round sila, tibuok tuig sila nag-hire because after 6 months, they have to have people ready nga mo take over atong mga na end of contract. Ana siya. So that's the replacement approach. The next is the commitment planning approach. Unsa man ning commitment planning approach? It involves the supervisors and the personnel in every component of the organization on the identification of manpower needs in terms, skills, replacements, policy, working conditions, and promotion so that the human resource department may be up to the challenge of current and future operations. So units are conscious of their needs. So for example, sa training department, so hibalo sila kung sa ilang kinahanglan, pila ka trainers ang kinahanglan so that they will already be able to tell the HR department that kinahanglan na mo training. Tulo ka trainers in the next 2 months. Okay? So mo na siya commitment planning approach. The last approach is the successor planning approach. This approach actually takes into consideration the different components of the old plan and increase them proportionately by the desired expansion rate stated by the management. So successor, hibalo man ka nga there are expansions that will be done, there are improvements that will be done. So you should by now you should already plan no the the manpower. Kinahanglan nimo ibutang didto. So ready ka when the expansion happens. Okay, so for now that those are the components, the steps of the strategic planning in the human resource department. Next meeting or next video we will be talking about the common weaknesses of human resource planning, the elements of strategic human resource planning, and up to the human resource information system. Okay, so if you have any questions, you know where to post it.